Evening, Dolores. Nice to see you. Glad that we could make this work. And I'm looking
Nice
forward
to
to
see
our
you,
chat.
Colette.
Thanks. So, for maybe those who don't know me, I'm Colette, obstetric gynae doctor and expert in menopause management, and I have a practice in Germany. Studies have shown that about 1 in 10 women, when they enter menopause, give up their jobs because their symptoms are so severe. And about 60% notice that the symptoms that they have interfere with their ability to carry out their job. And some studies have suggested that, in fact, the loss of revenue in terms of salary and also requirement for healthcare runs into the billions of dollars per year. And I see it in my practice as well. I have women who have thought about giving up their job because of their symptoms of brain fog. One woman was very eloquent and said she felt like a fraud. She was worried when she went to meetings that she would lose her train of thought or that she'd forget what she wanted to talk about and that she would not look trustworthy and responsible. And she was considering actually it was her business that she thought she might give up. And I have a lot of women as well who are facing the possibility of separation. And there has been some evidence that divorce rates are higher around 50, which happens to also be the age of menopause. So this is my practice with my patients, but of course also I am a woman in that age too. So it's a very personal. Dolores, we have met each other socially and through our business groups. But I would be grateful if you would introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and what brought you to this area that you want to help women with their finances.
Thank you. Thank you, Colette. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation. And I also see the risk that women in the various stages of their life face, especially with that it can bring financial struggle as well. And in this case, when it comes to the symptoms of menopause or health changes, because at the end of the day, this is natural, but it can really shape or drastically change the behavior. I introduce myself. My name is Dolores Gaviño. I am a money coach. I founded the company Female Wealth Builders, dedicated to provide personal finance education for women. I want to empower women to own their money, grow their wealth, and achieve financial freedom, because I truly believe that money is an enabler for freedom, for having variety of choices, and also for protection, because fortunately, when it comes to women and finance, 8 out of 10 women don't know how money works, and that leaves us naturally at a disadvantage when it comes to money. And I am a believer that we can change this one woman at a time.
A couple of questions sent in to me from women in my network. And I think we'll start with what is probably the foundations. One of the questions was, can you speak a little bit about budgeting? Is that something that you can learn, or do you have any advice about how women could implement a good and manageable budget?
Well, as money coach, help other women achieve financial stability and so on. I am a strong believer of budgeting. So some people feel like budgeting is more about restriction and tied to a negative feeling. But I think budgeting really needs a rebranding because it's an enabler. It opens opportunities and brings clarity on where your money is going. It helps you strategize where you want your money to go, because sometimes it goes in some areas of your life, and those areas may not be necessarily the ones that you prioritize. I think every person needs to have a budget if you want to take control of your money. It can be something very simple. I use an Excel template. Put your income on the top and then start subtracting your expenses. At the end of the month, you will reach out zero. And pro tip is that you add your investments and your savings as if they were part of your expenses. So you immediately, when the money hits your account, you already know how much money you're going to send to your investment account, how much to your savings account, and how much you will pay for each of the categories that you normally spend on housing or food or going out or even clothes. And all these categories need to be responding to your own preferences. We all are different, and your personal finances will show different priorities. For example, for me, traveling abroad to see my family is a priority. So I make sure that that area of my life is budgeted. Every month, I know one part of the money will go there. But for some other person, maybe clothes will be a priority, or going out, experiencing other restaurants will be a priority. And that's okay as long as it is intentional and it targets your lifestyle, what you want to experience in this lifetime.
Thanks for that. I love that you frame it as a positive. and not that you're withholding something from yourself when you're budgeting, that you're just prioritizing your money and making it work for you. A little bit on that line, then, how do you feel about preparing for your pension? Have you any tips in particular about, obviously that's a great big topic, but a couple of points, maybe the 3 points that you could for women to help them prioritize money for their pension?
Yes. Well, as you say, it's a big topic. So if I can only choose three, one is start as early as possible. Because especially when we start working and receiving money, the pension or retirement looks so far away that we don't even think about it. We don't really pay attention to it. But the earliest you start, the more powerful will be the compound interest effect, which is how your money will grow based on the returns it will receive. So that's one, start early. Two is you can do it on your own. And this is a maybe mind challenger or eye opening, because you don't need an external pension company or insurance to manage your pension. I encourage ladies to learn about investments. It can seem overwhelming from the outside, but it actually, you can learn it. If you learn how to drive, you can learn about investments. And then you can become an independent investor, create your own pension plan on your own terms. And this is a big opportunity because you can make a plan to even retire earlier than the government says. Mm-hmm. So here in Germany, the retirement age is 67 years old. If you have your plan and the earlier you start, the earlier you can retire. You can do it in your 40s, in your 50s. So it's really a possibility. And third could be stop thinking about retirement as an age and start thinking as retirement as an amount of money in your bank account, because that is the amount that will give you financial freedom, disregarding which age you are. So it's really, really powerful to challenge and change this mindset.
That does sound really interesting as well. And it feeds back to my mission as such, that for women to optimize their health so that when they reach that stage in their life where they're able to retire, that they're still in good health and can enjoy their retirement. Do you see yourself when women end in a situation where their relationship has broken down, or they find themselves alone through death, maybe, or bereavement? What gaps do you often see in women's financial planning?
I observe, and I included myself on this, that we are too often not prepared for changes in life. In my case, I went through a divorce and I lost all my money, and I was really not prepared. If looking backwards, I could have taken better care of myself financially. Well, it is what it is. And that's the reason why I'm here. And I learned how to manage money. But I see this pattern repeatedly. Actually, once I started talking about my divorce, I found out many other women, but lots of women were facing also separations, or they were even staying in abusive relationships for decades because of money. They didn't have the funds to move forward. I decided, this is really an issue. We need to do something about it. And the best way to do something about it is acquire financial literacy, learn how money works, and use that on your favor. And also, women are a vulnerable situation. There are a series of reasons why we are vulnerable, but one of them is because women don't have money on their own names or assets like a house, or we delegate the decisions to someone else. This is very risky. It could sound very comfortable, or we even can feel taken care of by our partners, but this has negative effects if life changes. So better to have a plan, to be independent, to be able to continue standing on your own feet if something changes.
Thanks for that. Thank you very much for sharing your experience, Dolores. I think it always helps people to feel like they're not alone in that, and having had that experience. And also, I think there can be a lot of shame or negativity associated with financial problems or financial worries, or being in financial difficulty. But very often it's life that puts these shocks and problems in our way, and there's no shame to it. And one of the questions I had wanted to ask you was, do you think women are generally as financially informed in particular within their relationship, as they should be. And I'm hearing from what you've already said that you feel that women aren't as financially savvy or as independent as you think that they should be.
Absolutely. And this is not only my impression, unfortunately. I have had conversation with investment bankers, and they even have confirmed that when couple arrives to them, and normally the one who is asking the questions is the man, and women are not really involved. And they are only involved if the man passed away or if they are having a divorce. And only then they start asking questions and getting involved. And many times the money, or if they having shared money, was not invested in the way they would have done it, because men tend to have or make riskier decisions. I have heard about men who have all the money in crypto, for example. This is very risky, and women, we try to seek more security, and we definitely take different decisions. So better to be involved as early as possible.
Interesting, and you see a difference as well in or maybe it's a fact that women and men have different attitudes towards risk when it comes to investment.
Yes, absolutely.
And one of the specific questions, because we are based in Germany, was somebody wanted to know if you had any advice specifically for investing in Germany.
And the first step would be to learn about the products that exist and to see which products fit your own personal preference, because there is no size fits all. Everyone has different positions towards risks. So some people will be more aggressive with risk, and some others will like to be more cautious. And this is totally fine. But there is a risk if you are cautious and you purchase, or you invest in a risky asset, then it will be not a good, it will not have a good outcome for you. So first you need to understand where do you stand in risk, and then learn which asset will bring you that risk coverage, so to say. And yes, once you know this, you can open a brokerage account in one of the investment banks. There are plenty of investment banks here in Germany, even on apps. So it's quite easy. And you can start investing from 25 euros. So it's really affordable just to start. And you can open the account like in any other banks. So it's very easy and it's quite fast. You can start opening the account today and start investing tomorrow if you want.
So it can all be done online?
Yes, it can be done online.
And apart from investment through a brokerage, I take it that's in stocks and shares? Is that, or also crypto? And what do you think about house buying or property as investment?
In the brokerage account, you have access to stocks. So you can invest in global companies like Apple, Meta, these global companies, Google. Or you can have also ETFs, where it's more like a package of many companies inside, but it's really diversified because it can have even 1,000 different companies inside from different parts of the world. Okay. So the risk is very diversified and it's really nice. So ETFs are, let's say, for women, one preferred option. Crypto, from my point of view, is not an investment. Crypto is pure speculation because it's the value of the currency. So the cryptocurrencies is based on demand and offer. So there are more buyers, the price will go up. If there are less buyers, then the price will go down. So it's very fluctuating, and there is no way to predict how this is going to behave. And in the case of the stocks and the ETFs, on the other hand, there are real companies behind them. So there are real employees, real products, real plans in the markets, customers. So it's way different. It's more solid than crypto. So I definitely would recommend not to invest in crypto, or if you want to have a little bit of fun, make it a very small part.
Make it once and just let it be. Is that what I didn't quite catch what you said there?
Make it a small part of, let's say, of all your investments.
I see.
Make it a small part, because if you lose it, it won't hurt.
You want to be able to walk away from it. All sounds really interesting, and people watching this video will have different backgrounds, and owning a house has different meaning to people from different countries. I'm from the UK, and it would have been once sort of normal thing to assume that in your early 20s, early 30s, you would certainly have owned a home. That's getting less and less likely with the cost of properties and the cost of borrowing. What do you feel about that in terms of investment, and as a good idea, a bad idea, or what's your feeling on that?
That's a good question. Me, as Mexican, I also was raised to believe that having my own home was maybe even the biggest investment of my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had my own home, it was a synonym of success.
Mm-hmm.
Very different story is when I started learning about finance and about personal finance, about money. And I started saying, if I have, let's say, this amount of money, what are the options where I can put it in and where will it be bring me more return? And definitely a house for your own use is not one of them. Because if you use it, it will not be generating income for you. And it will generate expenses because it needs maintenance, you need to pay taxes. So instead of being an asset when it comes to personal finance, it's seen as a liability. So another story is if you buy real estate for renting it out to someone else, that is more a business. So this piece of rental property
Mm-hmm.
will give you income. And ideally, that income will allow it to pay off the mortgage itself. So it will pay it off on its own. That's a different story. And
Mm-hmm.
that is or can be an investment if it brings you returns. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. I would say it's really mind changing because
Mm.
if you compare the same amount of money put on a house and bought through a mortgage where you have to
Mm-hmm.
pay interest to a bank, and on the other hand, an investment in the stock market where you put the same amount of money, but instead of paying interest, you get interest from it. And
Mm-hmm.
the amount will exponentially grow and even higher than having the home. So if you have possibilities, there are other possibilities that bring higher returns. That's why I consider buying a house for your own for your own use. It's not an investment, but it can be a lifestyle decision because it means
Mm.
something more for you, safety or comfort. Then it's more a lifestyle decision.
When we were first here, we did rent for several years, and I really hated having to deal with the landlord. I hated feeling like we had mold in one house, and he argued it was our fault. All this dealings with the landlord really, I didn't appreciate that. So I get that feeling that sometimes it's emotional and a lifestyle, and I guess you put your money where your priorities are. So we've had a great chat, and we're going to wrap up. But I just wanted to end maybe with one question that I think could be important or a good takeaway. To you, what would you say means being financially secure?
For me, being financially secure means you don't have to worry about money because money normally or too frequently is linked to negative emotions like anxiety or nervousness or feeling a sense of unsettling. But being at peace or this peace of mind that brings you knowing that whatever life will bring in front of you, you will be able to face it because you have a strong financial position, meaning you have your emergency fund very well funded, you have your investments working for you, your money is growing because you're investing, and you have a clear plan. What are your priorities and how your money is helping you to achieve those priorities? That is financial stability for me.
So that's a very thorough answer, and a lot more than what I thought was be something like 3 months saved, outgoing, your expenses covered for 3 months. But there's more to it than that, in your opinion. It's about investments and about security.
Yes, the emergency fund, it can be between 3 to 6 months of your expenses, depending on how stable or unstable is your situation. The more unstable, the bigger the emergency fund should be. That's one part, and it brings a lot of peace of mind. Definitely, it's a strong step. But also, let's say the first step and the next step would be to have your savings, your investments also working and developing according to your investment strategy and your financial. And the ideal is that you have a clear financial strategy that goes together with your life and your life goals.
Great. Thank you very much, Dolores. You've provided us with an awful lot of really practical and helpful information, and certainly given me plenty of food for thought. You obviously provide coaching in terms of how women feel about money as much as, what to do with money. And so I know a lot of my women in this community would probably be interested in getting in touch with you. How can we go about doing that?
I'm happy to receive any messages and to have you reaching out. You can find me on Instagram at Dolores Gavino, and also in my website, femalewealthbuilders.com.
And do you offer one-to-one coaching or group coaching, or do you offer courses? How do you provide your service?
Yes, at the moment I have a one-on-one coaching, and it's a 12-week program where I sit 1 hour with the mentee every week, and we go through the topics, to the concepts, clarify questions, do the exercises because it's very hands-on to personalize the concepts to the situation of the mentee. And it's together with an online course that explains the concepts of the important concepts for personal finance. What's an interest rate? All the very basics in very, very simple words, because finance doesn't have to be that complex. I am really against having finance topics so far away. They are day-to-day topics. They should be day-to-day topics because we use money every day.
So intense, how many weeks do you usually work with somebody? 12 weeks. So quite an intense, but not intimidating. It sounds quite a 12-week course. That sounds wonderful, Dolores. And well, everyone knows how to get a hold. I'm available through menocare.de and look forward to also receiving emails, questions via my email, hello@menocare.de. And we look forward to maybe meeting again, Dolores, and continuing this chat.
Looking forward to that. Next time we will talk about women's health and how they affect the personal finance. I think these two topics are very linked, and both need to be top priority for women.
Actually, you're right that both we come from areas where we discuss topics that are often associated with some amount of shame and emotion, like you mentioned, anxiety. And I think the more we do talk about this, the better for the women that we both come across in our lives.